What's going on? Hi, everyone. I'm hoping everyone is on today. Let me get on the radio. All right, can you hear me? Hello, YouTube subscribers. Thanks for following me, subscribing, liking, and sharing. Hey, IAH Radio Plus, thank you as well. Go watch them, they're great. I hear you. Okay, thank you. Go watch, check out and tune in to IAH Radio, where you'll get It's All About House. And when you check into IAH Radio Plus, you'll get all the genres, and including me. All the genres, right? So, happy Saturday, everyone. Hola, mi amores. And welcome to my channel, Judge Desire for Knowledge TV Talk Radio. I hope you got your popcorn. We're going to talk about a title that's very interesting. Hopefully I can make it just as much, but I'm sure I will. But either way, I'm hoping you're having a great Saturday. Go check out my grills, Grilling with Judge Desire for Knowledge. I will be grilling this weekend again. I try to upload as much as possible. I'm behind, so, just go look at that delicious food I be making out there. I love grilling. I am the grill master. Anyway, let's get back on tap. Hope you all are doing great. Up here in the mountains, it's partly cloudy. The forecast is about 65 degrees, balmy, 65. But it's always beautiful for a grill. So thanks for joining Know Your Truth Real Talk with me, Judge Desire for Knowledge. I am your host with the most. So I'm coming at you this week with some interesting topic on relationships. I usually have topics on other things as well. Let's say, for example, I was supposed to do games people play, but I didn't do that this week. I do on family matters. I do on relationships. So if you like this particular topic, so go check it out on my channel. My wall will have particularly each one with a different topic on what, a different title, I should say, on what it's about for that topic that week or whenever I do it. So let's begin with this week's Know Your Truth Real Talk on relationships. We're going to go there. Lust, lies, and loneliness. Battle of the sexes. Oh, yeah. Don't you want to hear about that? But let me start with whatever you hear in my content, don't take it as personal. It's not for everyone. Everyone is different. So not everyone proceeds the way that I state in the content. Let it fit where it fits and leave it where it doesn't. I think that's really important, because then you get people, oh, not all women do this, not all men. We know this is general information. For those that do, it'll resonate with you, and those that don't, it won't. So that's basically why it's here. So you take what's for you and what's not. But I wanted to bring it to you as anyway. All right. So let's start where it all begins. Dating. Oh man, you remember that time? All right. So the dating part is the illusion phase, is it not? We all have illusions when we're dating about the person we're dating, whether it be the female you're dating or the male you're dating. What men want versus what women feel. Typically, that's what it is about. So, dating is where people lie the most. Believe that, and not always to each other, but definitely to themselves. So I wanted to bring this content up because it's true. We do a lot of lies while dating. Sometimes you'll even go further in commitments and not knowing that that person lied. And that's sad, because then sometimes that commitment could lead to a marriage, which is even worse. So I always say the first phase is how you know if you want a commitment, and then the next step, a real commitment. So watch those people you partnership with first and foremost. I mean, people can be tricksters, they can be liars, manipulators, and then you got the good ones. You're going to have discernment on that and decipher for yourself. But right now on this channel, at this time, in this place, on this channel, radio and TV, I'm bringing it to you so you can figure it out. And so with that being said, this is where where the best work does. And loneliness makes its bad decisions. So you can do your best work, and sometimes people are in it for a different reason. All right. So let's not make it bad decisions, but let's check out why it can be for two things: lies or for loneliness, for lust or loneliness. Either one, those are bad decisions. So we're going to start out with the male dynamic in dating. Let's see what's that about. That's about males usually, and remember what I just said, this is not every male out there. Please, ladies, please, gentlemen, don't believe that. Take what you believe is true and not that it being a fact, because not everyone is the same. So in a male dynamic and dating, they're often driven by physical attraction first of the female, are they not? And that's what I notice a lot about men. They're visual. They see potential for fun, access, and freedom. All right. They move fast when interested, but not always emotionally invested. Isn't this the truth? Well, be careful of all that glitters, guys, because that doesn't make it good. All that glitters is not what it is. So be careful with that. The looks and stuff like that, the body. There's got to be more to a person than that, right? So let's hope that that's not how females look at men as well. But mostly guys are they're visionaries. They usually look at what's in front of them, not that person's potential. Who's going to look at that, really? No, they're inside, but then later they come and they're upset because they found out who that person truly is for who they are, you know? So that's what's sad, that you was visually checking something out and thinking that it's all that. Not everything that's beautiful is all that inside. It has to be inside as well as outside. So always remember that, folks, whether you're male or female. But this is just the dynamics of male right now. Now we're going to move on to what that translation means. It means men see a woman they like and they think, do I want her first? That's what it is. It's about, do I want her? They'll tell you, I like you. But you know what? You passed the vibe check, but not the wife test. So be careful about that, because it's true. You get the vibes. Nobody's out there looking for a wife or a hubby, but men definitely aren't looking for that right now. First, they got to know you. Yes, but the first thing they do is you pass the vibe test. It'll be a long time for some men before you even pass the wife test. But a man will plan a whole future right until their phone unlocks and other options become available. And that's true, until their phone unlocks and other options become available is truth. I've seen this a lot with people. You know, they're dating and then all of a sudden, you know, all that future plans with you two guys, couples are over with. Not in an instance, but let me see what this option is going to be like before I make a decision on that one. You know, that's sad, but it is what it is. And so that is the male dynamic. Now we're going to go into the female dynamics in dating. All right, girls, put your seatbelts on. I'm bringing it at you. And again, don't take this personal. Often driven by emotions, connection and attention. That's true of a lot of women I've seen out there. If it doesn't apply to yourself, you've seen it in other women. All right. Interprets consistency as serious intent. Starts building right away. Really early, they start building. And the translation in that for women's dynamic is women see consistency, which is good, and start building a storyline. That's not good. He texts good morning twice, and now he is lifetime. He said good morning. She heard good lifetime. I mean, it's forever. Women don't catch feelings. They draft blueprints. So be very careful, because most of us are emotionally serious and some of us are emotionally unstable. How about that one? You got one or the other, right? But it all ties up to emotions. So be very careful of how... Hey, who's that? Hi. Thanks for joining in. All right. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you joining in here. Thanks a lot. While he's still swiping, she's already spiritually married. So these are the things that women do out here because we carry emotions. Not all of us think the same way I just mentioned just now, where you're dropping in a lifetime and you just met the guy, or you catch feeling. You don't just catch feelings. Now you blueprinting everything out. Not everyone here does that. So the ones that do, be very careful because women are emotional. Some people cannot, they're emotionally unstable, and some of them are emotionally together. So you just got to know which one you're with at that time, because the clash point of this all is he calls it casual and he's dating for the moment. She calls it confusing because she's dating for meaning. And sometimes that meaning is a crazy meaning and sometimes it's a good meaning. So you have to decipher, gentlemen, what type of dynamic in dating females it is, which one. Because sometimes you think it's right. And then I've seen a lot of men that didn't know, wow, I didn't know this girl was way out overboard or whatever the case, a narcissist or overbearing, and I didn't know because they portrayed such a great part of themselves, portrait of themselves. Plus, they look good. See, males always are visual, so you're gonna see, but you're not gonna get what you see. I'm gonna warn you as a female. Be careful out there with that. And same goes for men, women. The truth in dating is, and I'm gonna say this because I just mentioned this, that visual can lead to this. So the truth in dating is lust says this feels good right now. And that's mostly, I'm not just going to say men do that, but I know females do that too. And loneliness says, I hope this turns into something, because lust is lust and loneliness is, well, whatever it is, I'm going to try to go for that because I don't have nothing going on right now. But that's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't have anything going on right now, that means the next person that pop ups while you're with someone trying to get it going because you were lonely, you're going to drop that. And that's what saddens the whole everything, the whole thing about dating, because that person may not know that's how you felt. You know what I mean? This is where communication comes in. Thank you. Okay. Make a sense. Your business makes a sense. Oh, I like that. That's pretty cool. I like that name. Thanks for joining. Look who stepped in the room. It's Sam. Okay. Sam? All right. I'm on radio too. Sorry. Welcome, Sam. I don't know if that's someone I know. I only know one Sam. I don't want to say who that person is. Sammy? I don't know. All right. So we're going to go on from dating, as you stated, as you've seen it being what it really is. It's the first step. It's the step that you get to know what is going on in your relationship, your partnership, or whatever you want to call it, your dynamic. And at that point, that's when you know if you want to take the next level of commitment. And it doesn't have to be marriage, the next level of commitment, but just a stronger commitment where you're just seeing each other. Sometimes people think we're just seeing each other in the beginning. You can't just expect someone. You got to tell them that. Or are you going to be sitting back? Welcome. Um, I'm Thanks for joining in. All right. So basically, like I said, you're not gonna know. That person doesn't know that you're not looking for a commitment or does. This is where communication comes in. So I'm not going on the second level of commitment where you make it just you and that person monogamous. I'm going on segment 2 of marriage. So this one is really after you've dated. I'm hoping by then you know the person. Most of us don't really until we get into this series, this part, this segment. Marriage long term. And we call this comfort versus connection. Why they stay. Now remember, we had lust and loneliness and dating. So now we have the connection of comfort. People get comfortable, connected, and why they stay. Why I say they stay is when you're married, that's the decision you should make if you've went that far in a commitment. But if you didn't take it serious and you married somebody, why would you stay there and not want to be there? I don't get that. No one's holding you hostage. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to be held hostage, and you shouldn't either. There shouldn't be any excuses, not children, not money, not finances. It should have been sorted out way before this. This is where we don't put our two and two together, right? Smart people are going to do that first before you take this commitment. So let's move on. Now we move into commitment, marriage, or long-term relationship. And this is exactly where lust fades and loneliness either deepens or gets exposed. Now, this is where the lies come in and everything. And we're going to start again with the male dynamics first in marriage. And what? Okay. All right. So, male dynamics. All right. Males in marriage, they actually value stability, routine, and peace. They may stay because it's easier than starting over, and we've seen that in females too, but we're talking about the guys today, right now. Male dynamic. Needs are being met at home. They got support. They got intimacy. They got their Wi-Fi going. You know, things that's important to men. They watching their sports. All right. So the translation in all of this is he's thinking, I got peace, food, and Wi-Fi. Why would I leave? Okay, we know a lot of guys, that's how it is for them, and that's the male dynamic in marriage. So in other words, if they're not happy and things are going in their favor as far as peace, food, Wi-Fi, stability, but they're not happy now. Remember, home, they got their own home or their apartment, whatever you call home. It's still a home. It doesn't have to be a house, people. Support and intimacy. Okay, I got that. Why would I leave? I'm happy here. They're not really happy. They're just convincing themselves. That's not good. Yeah, because their translation comes to he's thinking, I got peace, food, and Wi-Fi. Why would I leave? Because a lot of people feel like, okay, if I leave now, it's going to cost me. But these are the things we should have gathered together as evidence before the fact, right? Like, would you want to marry this person or find out that you needed to do this later, stay there, committed where you shouldn't want or don't want to be, and then pay the price later? Because a lot of people are in courts with a lot of alimony payments, child support. Whew. Prenups are needed nowadays. It's sad, but it's true. Now let's get to the female dynamics. All right, female dynamics in marriage. Now, their thing is values. They value emotional fulfillment and connection. Who doesn't? All right, they may stay because she's investing time and energy, her time and her energy. And that's true. A lot of women do that. She believes it can improve, whether it's good or bad for that person. Women, they stay in it no matter what. Sometimes. Not all the times, ladies, I know. And she fears losing the relationship and going into loneliness. Dropping bomb. Yeah, exactly. So here's where loneliness comes in for females. Some of us women, I say us because we're all women, I've seen this in the court system, and like I said, the court system is relationships. It's about relationships because you bring your business there. So since you do that, we know your business, and it's recorded your business, which is why I tell people, yeah, try not to go there unless you're forced in. All right, and I'll say it again. But the translation to this was of loneliness and all this stuff between male and female dynamics of staying in relationships that you don't want to be in. Usually is I love him, but sometimes they're missing, but some things are missing from that person, and that's what a lot of women dynamics think of. I love him, but there's things missing. There's always going to be something missing with women because that's how we are. We want the perfect man. We want this. And ladies, there's no perfect. Men, there's no perfect. We're going to have to see who suits us the best. That's it. There's no perfect there. And we got to recognize that. And the sooner you recognize that, the better you'll be. Believe me, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and spiritually. And the clash point here is between the both dynamics. He feels everything is fine. He's comfortable. Yeah, he's got his Wi-Fi, his food. That makes sense. He got everything. She feels nothing. Nothing's right. She's conducting emotional receipts, and her reality check just clicked in. And just someone said, no, dropping bomb. That's it. You said it right on time, though. DJ fucking hard. That was good. This is where people get stuck for years, obviously, and it's sad because the reality check kicks in. um, you start seeing the person for who they really are. And sometimes you get stuck there, especially in this part on the marriage dynamic. Not because they're there, not because they're happy, but because, and this is sad part, because most of us, we're happy in marriages. Nothing's perfect, like we said. Not even relationships are perfect, but marriages, you have to take your time in marriages as well. Like relationships, is the same thing. If you're not happy, you don't make that kind of commitment. All right, a deeper commitment, you stay out of it. But this is where people get stuck for years in marriages. And like I said, I'm gonna say it over, not because they're happy, but because the life they built together, the money they spent, leaving feels harder than staying, and most of all, loneliness is waiting on the other side. So they're like, instead of me being lonely, I just rather stay here, do whatever. And this type of thinking is eventually leads into lies, manipulation, and lust, because then you get these Jezebel male and females that come along, and while you're still in a marriage, they're willing to come in and break that up any way and form they can. So now lust comes in, and that's where you end up paying the price later. But that's another show. The truth is, marriages, lust is mostly gone in most of them. Love is being tested there, and loneliness is making quiet decisions. So when you are lonely like that and you're feeling like, okay, I'm lonely here in this marriage, then why are you still there? Because you're going to be alone outside of the marriage, at least right off. I don't see why you would be uncomfortable. Loneliness is a big thing for you. You're already lonely, so why not take the step and continue to stay by yourself, healing, giving yourself what you didn't get in that marriage, because we're talking about marriage right now, self-worth, self-empowerment, because only you can do that. Self-love is really important, because you go into a relationship, then a marriage, and not loving yourself, you can't love somebody else. Definitely can't. It's never gonna work. So first, people need to be alone sometimes so that they can be empowered with themselves first. Then they can empower someone else in a relationship. Maybe they need your help, maybe they don't, or you come together with someone just like you. But you won't know that if you haven't given it to yourself, right, ladies and gentlemen? You wouldn't. What's that? Dropping bomb. Yeah. All right. So now we're going to go up to another segment, breakup, which is hard on people. Who's going to say a breakup isn't hard? Sometimes a breakup is relaxing. It hurts, but you were in for it. I know I've been there where a breakup was, I'm good. I'm fine. It hurts, but I'm really happy this happened. I've been there. I won't say if it was a marriage or a relationship, but yeah, I was happy afterwards. But it's still, you're going to feel that pain, because some things are meant to happen and meant to be, and you leave it that way. And some things aren't meant to be, and then you'll know. So breakup, detachment versus devastation. So you got detachment versus devastation. Who leaves first versus who leaves emotionally. Now that is how this is going to go. So we're going to start with the male dynamic in a breakup. All right, now let's see how that goes. Often detaches emotionally before leaving. So they're already out the picture, ladies. They're already out. They've checked out long time ago, and you didn't even know this. May appear to move on quickly. They probably in another relationship already. And I'm not saying this is funny, but this is true. I've seen this before. Processes emotions later and not up front, and that is true. And the reason why I say I've seen this before is, like I stated, you bring your relationships to the government, to the system, in whatever way or form. Even if it's not the court, you bring them there, and we see it. So I've seen this before, where people have moved on quickly. And let me give you a scenario. And now, whether it's female or male, now you want to destroy them. You want to have revenge. You want to get back what your hurt, your pain, which is the worst thing you could do. Moving on is the best. But I've seen that revenge play out in the courtroom. Oh my goodness. This is why we have court officers and police where I worked before, but now it's just court officers. Some places we have both, because where I worked before had a precinct inside of the courthouse. But this is why, because you bring your relationships there, and then things like this happen where one person can move on very fast. Mostly males can do that. Emotionally, we are stuck, some of us. And so you bring it here in the courtroom live. It's like, go get your popcorn. You're going to need it because if I could bring my popcorn and sit there and watch that, I'd bring the popcorn. But it's not funny. I'm not saying it is, but at some point it's become so routine that we need to check ourselves, okay? When you move on quickly, please don't come to the courts to get a temporary order of protection, because once we clarify that it's not needed, you can get in a lot of trouble for holding back someone that wants to move on. Things like this happens, and then some of them are serious. Please leave it for the serious people that are really in abuse, domestic relationships, and don't use it to further gain your revenge or a restraining order, TOPs, temporary order of protections. That's what that meant, or restraining orders. It's not nice. Basically, you are all on record for everything you do there. So just be considerate and think of the other people when you go through this. This should have been thought out before. Basically, if you were mature and you thought about things ahead of time, you would have gotten out of it before it got this serious, and you would have known that person moved on quickly or left. But we like to fantasize sometimes, male and female, that it's really real, the relationship. And so this is where the lies and comes the lust, the lies, because we stay in there for something, right? And this is what hurts us on later on. And so we're going to say again, we're in the male dynamic right now. We're processing emotions later and not up front. So they appear to move on much quicker than females, right? But the translation here is he already checked out emotionally 3 months ago, like I said. And I've seen this before. So when it ends, he's like, yeah, it was time. But see, he already took the first step. And whereas a female, women, we wait too long to take the steps. Some of us, not all of us. And so that's where we need to be more smart and communication, as I stated in the beginning. Now, as a female dynamic in a breakup, guys, be careful. Because, woo, all right. I won't say it here, but you can't go to the courtroom and see private stuff like this. But anyway, female dynamic breakups. Now, I'm not saying you guys are the worst, but oof, the emotions can lead you to make such big, bad decisions, even for your children, because it's emotional. And I've seen men do the same thing, but not as much. Whew, okay. And some of you have a right to, but why don't you just take it a little easier than that? Stop overdoing it. I mean, it's not needed. Your children are suffering because of it. There's time where I just stated the main course in a relationship before marriage, while dating, communication. And that will help you get through not making terrible decisions that not only yourself will be devastated, but your family, your children, especially your children. Who is your family? But females, your dynamic on breakups usually often feels everything before leaving. Yeah, it's emotional. Struggles with letting go, it's emotional. Replays the relationship emotionally over and over again. Maybe not over and over again, but you keep playing it. Stop that record. Don't play it no more. It's over. When it's over, it's over. Ladies and gents, move forward and upward. It's really important. And I'm saying it at a mature level because I became mature at a young age, teenage year. You know, when you're first dating, I became mature then. I learned my lesson. I moved forward. There's no reason for me to get revenge. Basically, I left. Many times I was the one that leave because I'm not fulfilled, and I leave, with the sense of, you know what, I learned a lesson here, thank you, and goodbye. And that's it. I don't call you, I don't seek you, I don't text you, I don't care who you're dating. I just forget who you are altogether. And I'm going to say this because I want to share this part with you, being personal. I'm going to share a personal part. I married very young, my first marriage, and I didn't even know who my husband was on a bus one day while going to work because I forgot about him. We broke up right away, like maybe 2, maybe 3 years max. When I said, I'm done here, it's not working for me. I never took child support, alimony, nothing. I don't need you for that. You know, you need to take care of your child. You do that, and I'm good. I don't want any attachments to anything of my past, period. So he didn't know that. He just know that when he saw me, I didn't even know who he was. So, and he didn't change really. It's just that I left my past in the past where it belonged. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know it was you. All right, thanks. It's good to see you. Take care. Bye. That's how much you need to forget someone instead of coming up with revenge, a plot to hurt that person because they've moved on. They've married my ex. I'm happy for every one of them. And not every one of them, but my ex-husband, because not every, I didn't have that many to say that. But the fact remains, I even was friends with his girlfriend, which he never married her, but he remarried someone else. And it is what it is. I have no reason to be competitive with anyone, and neither do you. There's no competition. There's enough for everyone. And if there's not enough, then you find out why it isn't for you, why it's not working for you, or what's going on. Fix yourselves first. And I just think that all this revenge stuff does not need to occur. And I understand the anger issues, but I had to learn at a young age, and I watch all these older adults that didn't learn at the age I did, and everybody has their own time to learn. But why is it taking so many people so long? Like, they'll go into their 40s, 50s, and 60s the same way they came out. I can't. It's horrible. You see all ages in the system with the problems on relationships. And it's sad. It's like they never learned. They never did the work. And so when you don't do the work with self-empowering yourself, self-love is first and foremost. You can't love somebody else. If you have self-love, you're not going to hurt other people because you're going to say, why would I want to do that? I don't like that feeling. I don't want to give that energy out. You know what I mean? But let's get on. That's another scenario. I'll do a show on that. So we women, not all of us, replays the relationship emotionally. And the translation here is she is always feeling everything. They're always feeling everything, crying over things, rereading text like it's evidence in court, like I just stated. Usually that's exactly how it ends up. Because now they're pissed off. They still don't understand. They're not going to come to a conclusion. They're not ending it. They leave the story open so that they can revisit it. You know, those type of people, which is sad because why would you want to revisit something that wasn't worth revisiting is beyond me. But some people like doing that. So I think they do it through the court system when you want to come there and see the same person you don't like and don't stand with their new person or not. I mean, you're revisiting. Hello, let's make that make sense. All right. Now the clash point here is he's outside already. He left physically. Later he left, but physically he left later, right? He been left emotionally, but he leaves physically later. That's usually how men work. They'll be there, but they left a long time ago. She's still processing inside. She leaves emotionally slower, and that's where it affects us most because we're not going through the emotional part, the closure, and what we need for ourselves. Forget someone else helping you in closure. Sometimes you might need that. How about you do it for yourself? You bring yourself closure. I've never really hear people say that a lot. I always hear, oh, maybe you need to go back to the past and have closure with what for? The closure was done. You're going to have to come to reality and get the reality check and do it for yourself. Not that person could do it for themselves. Give them forgiveness and just move forward. And that's it. So the breakup truth is the one who cared less heals faster. Yes. And that's the part nobody wants to admit, but it's true. I said that. And it's sad. And another breakup truth is love didn't end it. It just ran into reality. And a lot of us run into reality because in the first place, we allowed lust, lies, and loneliness to contribute to us through the dating part. You know, when you see that person and you think they're everything in the world, and they might be later, but not everyone is. So, with that being said, let's just tie this all together. And I'm just going to throw out these things that you should listen to. In dating, lust leads and loneliness hopes, right? That's the truth. In marriage, comfort traps and fear maintains. So you maintain the fear, and marriage traps. And I'm not talking about all those great marriages we see people, and some of them are 60, 80 years and they're not happy, but I'm not talking about them. But in marriage, comfort does trap and fear maintains, as we stated. People are comfortable even if they don't want to be there. And that's when things happen between relationships, when other people who aren't happy are miserable. I call them Jezebel streetwalkers, whether they're males or females. They come in when your marriage is like that, and this is where it all goes off balance. So before it gets like that, you shouldn't even get married, because you know, if you're unhappy in the dating, you most likely will be unhappy in the marriage. So why move forward with that? And it makes no sense, because the first person to walk out is going to be the person that mentally and emotionally left upstairs. They left you a long time ago, but you thought you were still married or in a relationship with them. Then you act shocked later that they did you wrong, or they were in another relationship the whole time. They have kids, they have a family. Who knows? Those are the scenarios I've seen. Like I said, I go by experiences, work experiences, life experiences, and I've seen enough. So I try to bring it to this channel to help others see it before they make mistakes like a lot of people have made. Everyone makes mistakes, but you got to learn from those mistakes to move forward. Yes or no? I've made mistakes I've had to learn through, and I use it as a lesson, not revenge. That's maturity. And breakup reality hits differently for both. So when you think that it's the same for you, it's not the same for somebody else. And then when you see them as a psychopath, then you want to go. I'm sorry. It's not funny, because psychopaths do, I mean, narcissists, they're real. They can have you believe things. I don't consider them psychopaths at their worst. They have you believe in everything to the end. Okay, then you figured, wait, this person wasn't even who they said they were. But it took you more than just a year, 2 years, let's say 30, 20, 30 or more years before you figured, oh my God, that person lied that whole time? Yeah, those are narcissists. So let's wrap this up, because I'm not going to go on psychopaths and narcissists, but I do hope that you don't, you can decipher, you have discernment, and you can find out what you're really involved in ahead of time. And so this channel is trying to help those females and males understand that it's going to be really important when you want to date. If you don't want to date, God bless you, please work on yourself so that you can be strong enough to know the difference when you do date, and then when you get married, because that will help you 1,000%. But like I said, let's wrap this up. In dating, a man gets excited while a woman, she invests in the relationship. She's invested in the relationship. When it comes to marriage, he's settled while she is evaluating her investment. All right, don't forget that. In dating, a man is excited while a woman, she's invested in the relationship, which is mostly true. Some of them are invested in the right things and some are not. All men are excited because they're happy. They're happy that someone's there for them. They always are happy about having someone by their side, I think. I've never really seen men that are lonely, and if they are, they're miserable. So they usually always have a partner or a relationship somewhere. When it comes to marriage, he's settled. He's happy. It's marriage. When she is married, she's evaluating her investment and what she put into the marriage. This is true. That's what we do. In a breakup, he's just gone while she's still grieving about what happened. And I've seen this in a lot of marriages, that both sides grieve about what happened because we have allowed it to fly over our heads while dating this person. Because you just don't jump into marriages, right? You have to have dated, courted, been, even if you were friends, because some people start as friends. I know I did before dating the person. You're friends. Some people is dating, but then the next step is marriage. Why would you, if you saw the red flags, You saw some things that weren't right, believe it. It's not. So don't jump into marriage. But if you believe that that person and they are good enough to lie this whole time and you get married, I feel bad for you because it's seriously hard to detect sometimes, especially like I said with narcissists and manipulators. So be careful with that. But the whole ideal here is, are you in love or just avoiding being alone? Okay? Know the difference when it comes to lust, lies, and loneliness, because it's a real big difference there when you're dating, when you're in a marriage, and then when you break up. Because that is the most pivotal part of it all, when the breakup time. That's when you're going to know who everybody is. Especially, sometimes marriage is a facade for some. And you won't know this until it's time for you to leave it. And then you find out it's too late then. And you don't want that to happen, because I've seen what happened to people that it's too late. Yeah, then you get all this court maneuvers going on. I want my kids, I want my money, I want my alimony, I want my child support. You know, work it out, people. I was talking to someone the other day and I was like, why are we discussing it in the courts? We'll still have our jobs, because there's always going to be bad energy, criminals, and everything everywhere. But family court is really something that we're supposed to resolve situation, but it seems like it's getting worse. And why would we bring our personal lives there unless we had to? Like, I don't want everyone in my business like that, and you shouldn't either. And when you're bringing these things in, if you slept with the man or woman, you had a child with them, you obviously love them or like them at some point to have children. Why aren't you two discussing, even though it turned into hate or dislike for one another, discussing what you can do outside of the courtroom? Because it only bothers the children. Their whole life is on record, including yours in the system. So just think about that the next time you want to have children. And be careful, guys, of who you choose to have children with. Men too, women too, but just it's time for us to start thinking a lot, all right? And that's real talk. So with that being said, I'm hoping you're having a great Saturday, because I'm about to go hang out and wind down. So I hope you enjoyed this session of Know Your Truth Real Talk, bringing you the truth and nothing but the truth. With me, your host of the most, Judge Desire for Knowledge, is now adjourned. I will see you next week for Know Your Truth Real Talk here on my channel on YouTube, and join and tune in. If you can't come on visualizing it, come check it out on IAAH Radio Plus. As I said, go check them out. It's all about house. That channel, IAAH Radio, it's about house. It's all about house. That's what you're going to hear on that channel. If you go to IAAH Radio Plus, you're going to get all genres, reggae, probably Mexican, salsa, merengue, whatever. I don't know. I just know it's all genres, and you get me. So I thank you all for joining me right now. Oh my goodness. What's up, sis? Wow. It's good to see you here. But anyway, I love you all. Thank you for subscribing, liking, and share. I hope I can bring the best of what I know from experience to you all, whether in the courthouse or outside. So I'll see you here next Saturday, folks. Ciao. IAAH Radio, thank you so much. I appreciate you. CEO 5 a.m. Thank you. Go check them out with the best DJs and the best music in town. I will see you all next week for Know Your Truth Real Talk.